you ever been frustrated as a woman in leadership? Perhaps you've been in a situation where you have had an angry customer, an angry client, an angry patient, an angry partner, and you were already at a very frustrated state and you reacted in a way that was not the best version of yourself. Well, I want to tell you that leaders struggle with this all the time. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how patience in leadership can truly help you to advance in your career and help you stand out from everybody else. Now, specifically, I want to help you learn how to stay composed when you're frustrated. And I'm going to share with you a story that happened to me personally when I was frustrated. And when a patient of mine was frustrated. But there's a way that you can really be able to mitigate this and make it work for you. So if you are at that point in your leadership journey where you are in the trenches, I would say, where you have situations come up where you have someone that's angry or frustrated in your face, then this is definitely the video for you. You absolutely want to watch this video to the end, because I'm going to share with you 2 strategies that will help you to practice patience in leadership. Oftentimes people wonder, well, what does patience in leadership have to do with me growing? How can you even communicate patience? So this is what I'm going to talk about in this video today. I'm going to share with you 2 strategies on how you can communicate patience in leadership even when you are frustrated. So if this sounds like something that you are interested in learning more about, feel free to like this video. This is a live video, so there is typically a point where people will join. So if you're watching this, you're most likely watching the replay. And if you are, just bear with me just a few moments. I do enjoy saying hello to everyone that is joining the video and being able to greet them and then get right into the content. So hello everyone, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful day today. Feel free to let me know where you are joining from in this beautiful world. And let me know, have you ever been frustrated as a leader or been frustrated when you just weren't sure how to handle it? I'm going to share with you some gems today. I'm going to share with you over 20 years worth of experience of ways that you can communicate patience to elevate yourself as a leader, to help you gain more income, and etc. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? This is the time for you to elevate yourself as a leader. So I want to say hello to everyone. Hello, Alam Blog. Hello, hello. Hello, Ramana. Hello, hello, welcome. Hope y'all doing well. Let me know where you're joining from today. Mojo Jojo, welcome, welcome. Guy that comments, hello, welcome back, welcome back. Doyce Treat, hello, welcome, welcome. And guy that comments is from LA. Okay, fantastic. Well, if y'all have any questions specifically as it relates to how you can use patience in leadership to help maintain your composure when you're frustrated, this is the place for you to be. So the first thing I want to mention to you as a strategy, when you're in those particular situations, and this is more for your leaders, your managers who are dealing with people or situations that come up when someone's in your face, like when someone's mad and in your face, like how do you handle that? How can you show patience and communicate patience to someone? Oftentimes when we hear patience, we think of it as an abstract term, like show patience, be patient. Well, what does that mean exactly? What does it mean to show patience and be patient? Sometimes it's tricky. It can be challenging. So I'm going to share with you 2 strategies that you can do to show patience as a leader that will help you to stay composed even when you are frustrated. So the first thing that I want to share with you is a story that happened to me personally. And I want to show you how patience can either help you to enhance your executive presence or it can completely destroy it. So this is what happened to me personally, and then I'm going to go into the 2 strategies on how you can communicate patience to someone else. So many years ago in a clinical setting, I had a situation where there was a patient of mine who was really upset. And the assistant I was working with at the time communicated to the patient and spoke with the patient and had a conversation with the patient and said exactly what I said, but that was not enough. The patient was not hearing that. And they came to get me. Of course, you have to come and get the cavalry, right? You have to come and get the cavalry, get the leader, get the doctor, get somebody. This patient's mad. So I went into the room and talked to the patient, and I asked the patient, like, I heard you had some questions. what's going on. And so one thing I mentioned to you that's not a strategy that I was going to actually talk about, but there's something that I just thought about a moment ago, is when you're in those very contentious situations, when you're meeting the person for the first time, first know what's going on. Somebody needs to give you some intel. They need to give you some information. You do not want to go into a situation blind when somebody is not happy, when they're frustrated, and you want to know what's going on. So asking an open-ended question is a great way to get started, to understand what's going on. Let them talk, because it helps you to gauge in terms of what you should do. Now, having that conversation with this particular patient, I said, what's going on? What questions do you have? What the patient was asking for was completely unrealistic. It's something that I could not do. And I basically said the same thing, but I said it in a different tone of voice. What I found out from this particular patient was that she was really frustrated because she had a lot of things going on personally. She was on a break from school, and she just had a lot going on, which is why she was so frustrated. Now, she did mention that the assistant that I mentioned to you that said the exact same thing that I said was rude, and she was very, very rude. So why is this important? Because when you are frustrated with someone, oftentimes, depending on what's going on in your life, maybe you had a bad day, maybe you had a bad morning, maybe you didn't eat, maybe you're just maxed out. People can pick up on it, and sometimes we can come across as very rude and very aggressive, and it will not help you to elevate your executive presence and showcase yourself as that amazing leader that I know you want to be, because you're following and watching this video right now. So the strategies I want to lead into this story that I mentioned to you is that there's ways you can communicate patience. So the first strategy that I want to mention to you, before I do that, let me go to comments. So we have a comment from Guy that comments, says, drinking gives me patience. Well, I guess it can. It can give you patience from time to time. So I would say specifically in these type of scenarios, the first strategy I want to mention to you is that you want to listen. Actively listen to what the person is saying. So using an open-ended question, as I mentioned at the very beginning in this scenario I had with this patient, to turn things around, will allow you to understand and hear what they are saying. It is a point where you need to quiet everything that's going on in your head. You may have like 5-10 things, right? Especially if you're a leader, that you're dealing with or you're processing every single moment of the day. It feels like it, I'm sure. But when you have those situations where you're frustrated, you're tired, and you still got to deal with someone that's frustrated too, take a moment just to quiet your mind and really listen to what they are having to say. Sometimes when you're listening, the information they may be saying may be completely valid, and there may be a reason why they're frustrated, or they may be just talking complete nonsense. You just don't know unless you actually listen to them. And so you want to listen to them, see what they're saying. And that particular comment goes into my next strategy, which is to show empathy. Now, if you are not familiar with empathy, empathy means putting yourself in someone else's shoes. All of us, regardless of who you are, person, you've dealt with drama in your life, and you've had times where things were not okay for you. And we've all struggled at some point in our careers. We've all struggled at some point in our lives. We have all overcame a lot of significant challenges. So when you are trying to show patience in leadership, a fantastic way to do that is to show empathy. Put yourself in that person's shoes. So for instance, the person I was speaking with you about in terms of the scenario that happened to me specifically, she had a lot going on. She just finished, she was on a break from school. She just had a lot of things personally that I won't talk about on the live, but she had some things going on. And I had to really listen to what she had to say and put myself in her shoes. If I was in a situation where I had this happened, this happened, this happened, and this happened, then you know what? I might feel a little frustrated too. And you try your best to empathize and see what it is that you can support them with and help them with as a leader. And there may be a point where you can't. So in my situation that I mentioned to you, the story I had with the patient, yes, I know she had a lot going on. She was frustrated. I was frustrated that particular day. I wasn't outwardly frustrated, but I hadn't eaten anything yet. I had a really long day, and I just just had to keep going, but I had to stop and listen to this particular person that was frustrated. So I found that by listening and by showing empathy, it allows me to put myself in that person's position and understand what it is that they may need some help with. So these are tools that people don't talk about a lot of times as it relates to leadership. Patience is something that can actually help you out tremendously as a leader. It can help you stay composed when you're frustrated. And I will tell you, if you start using these two strategies, just these two strategies, the next time you as a leader deal with the patient or deal with the client or deal with the partner or deal with the coworker who's in your face, angry, frustrated about something, and you're frustrated about something, if you can take a step back and think of what is it that they're trying to say? Is it valid? Is it not valid? Let me put myself in their shoes. It will automatically make you stand out as a leader. This is how you communicate patience. You can communicate patience through listening, and you can communicate patience through empathy. A lot of times when you are having those conversations, sometimes people just want to be heard and they want to just vent and they just need to say what they need to say. Now, you don't need to do that all the time because you're a leader, you are developing your executive presence, you're following my channel, and you know that I'm big about you don't need to share all of your personal business. There's certain situations where you need to share it and there's certain situations where you don't. When somebody's mad and upset, that's not when you share your personal business. You just listen. Just listen and show that empathy that they need to help them be the leaders that you want to showcase yourself as. Now, I want to know from you all in the live that are watching the live, and I appreciate you all for being here and spending some time out of your day with me today. Have you been frustrated? Have you been frustrated as a leader? What are some things that you've done? We've got a guy that comments that mentioned what he does when he's frustrated. So I'm curious to know from the rest of you that are joining, what are some things that you have done that have been helpful when you have been frustrated in a different type of scenario? I shared with you the two things that I typically do. I start with listening to what needs to be said. What is a person talking about? Is this valid? Is it not valid? Can I fix it? Can I not fix it? And then I go into putting myself into that person's shoes. What specifically how are they dealing with that I personally probably have dealt with at some point in life? But as I mentioned, all of us go through things. We've been through trials, we've been through tribulations, we've been through good times, we've been through bad times. Every single person has been through that. And if somebody says they have never been through a bad time and everything has always been rainbows and gold at the end of the rainbow, then that person is not being truthful to you. They're not being truthful. So I want to know from you, what are some things that you all have done when you're frustrated? And if you have some questions about leadership in general, in terms of being a leader, how to develop your executive presence, what are some things you need to say, how to conduct yourself when you're under pressure, put it in the comments below. I'd be happy to provide you with any insight that I can and share with you over 20 years worth of experience as a C-suite executive, as a manager, as a director, as an executive coach, and a public speaker that will help you to fast track your career as you are moving forward. So if this is something that you have found that was interesting, then feel free to like this video. I appreciate you all for liking it so far and just being present with me today. I really appreciate that. And I also do want to mention to you as well, if you know that you're not patient, you know that patience is very short, like it's just not there, or it could be better when you have somebody that's angry, that's frustrated, or when you're frustrated about a situation, then reach out to me for a strategy session. I would be happy to have a call with you, develop a plan, and talk about where you are right now in terms of your patience and where you want to be in terms of being patient. Of course, I work specifically with women in leadership, but I have a lot of people on my channel that are not in that target audience, and I'm so thankful to have them present as well, because I know if you're watching this video, then you are very, 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 very interested in becoming an amazing leader, and I'm here to support you regardless of what gender you are, to help you on your journey. So let me know in the comments below if you have any questions specifically, and if you need some additional support, then just reach out to me. Contact me at Dr. Jacinta Lamantai on LinkedIn, and then also at Excite Excellence on Instagram. Contact me. I'll be happy to schedule some time to have a executive strategy session with you so we can talk about where you are, where you want to be as a leader, and if you're looking for an even deeper transformation as you are trying to elevate yourself as a leader earn more income, make that bigger impact on the world, then I have a very transformative experience that is called the Real Executive Woman. It is a great opportunity for you to really elevate yourself as you are transitioning to that level of leadership. Whether you are just starting out on your leadership journey or you are at the very top of your leadership journey, there's always things that we are all trying to enhance and improve upon as leaders. And the experience that I have will automatically help you to do that. Learn from my over 20 years of experience. I've been in a lot of very friendly situations and contentious situations, and I want to be able to provide you with support that you all need. So guy that comments mentioned that has a question: what's the best way for your followers to not find out you got no idea what you're doing? Well, actually, the best way for my followers to find out what I'm doing is to listen to my lives. So I've been in different type of scenarios where I've been in those situations. So I've spent some time, I've been featured on the news before. I have been featured on the cover of Howard University's magazine for being selected as one of 2 students in the United States to be a part of the American Dental Association's Washington National Health Policy Externship, which allowed me to spend a lot of time on Capitol Hill with Senate Majority Leader and with various congressional members, congressmen, congresswomen. So I've been in those situations where I've heard conversations and I've seen how people can really elevate themselves as it relates to their executive presence and communicate at that higher level. So if this is something that you are wanting to do and communicate at that higher level than your peers, then this is the absolute best place here on YouTube to do it. There's a lot of people out here on YouTube that talk about communication, leadership, and etc. And what I found is that there's 2 things that usually happen. One is that they have either been in academia, meaning specifically they've been in school forever, and they've been in school for so long that they're just going based off of what they've heard their friends go through or what they have learned in books about leadership and about theories of leadership and hypotheses on leadership and this leadership model and that leadership model. And I found that that's not real life. Real life is some of the things that I'm talking to you about right now. When you have those challenging situations where you're frustrated, someone else is frustrated, in terms of how you can be able to show patience as a leader and still keep yourself composed when you're frustrated. The second thing that I've noticed sometimes on YouTube that comes up when people are talking about leadership development, communication, and etc., is that you'll have people that have not been in the leadership roles. They've been either working as an executive coach, they've worked with executives or worked with senior leaders, but they haven't actually been in those roles themselves. So they do not have that experience of dealing with situations that are maybe a bit more challenging and a bit more difficult to manage. So those are the 2 type of scenarios I see on YouTube, and this is one of the reasons why I developed my business, and which is Excite Excellence Incorporated, and why I developed my transformative program called the Real Executive Woman, to really help people see the real side of leadership that you do not see oftentimes on YouTube. There's a lot of fluff out there. There's a lot of, you just got to be confident. You just need to show confidence, or you need to be patient. Well, how do you do that? Like, how do you show patience? That's what I talk about here on this channel in terms of showing you real things, just as I mentioned at the beginning. So the ways that you can show patience as a leader, even when you're frustrated, is by 1, listening to what the person has to say, ask an open-ended question, have them start talking so you can listen in and be able to change what you want to say or direct the conversation in the way you want it to go. The second thing that you can actually do is to show empathy. Put yourself in that person's situation. We have all been through times in our life that have been challenging, or we've been frustrated, or we have just completely had it. And put yourself in that situation. Most of the time when someone's frustrated or upset, they probably have something else that's going on outside of that. All right, so awesome. So let me see what else we have in the comments before I leave. Guy in the comments mentioned that insider trading, big brain move. Yes, this is definitely the new type of currency, is knowledge, and being able to share that, because this is worldwide. I mean, I hope that I'm able to help people in various generations even after my time, to be able to learn just how to really communicate at that higher level and to show those higher level executive skills that people just kind of breeze over sometimes on YouTube, and it lacks depth to help you really actually do something. And so let's see what else is said. Got the comments mentioned, the only thing I lead is my life. Yes, and that's very important because you have to have your own life that you lead, and that is very important. Starting with you is the way you have to go. You have to start with yourself first, because it's the same scenario I talk about a lot of times on my channel. And I say this, and if you've heard me say it, just fast forward. But it's just the same way as if you go on an airplane. When you're on the airplane, what does the pilot say? The pilot says, if this plane has some problems, the plane is going down. You have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you can put the oxygen mask on anybody else. And this is when your life is in danger, when the plane is about to crash. You have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. So a guy that comments that is a very, very, very great insight that you shared, because you have to lead yourself first. Then you can lead other people. You have to take care of yourself first before you take care of other people. It's something that a lot of times leaders really do struggle with. And I want to emphasize how critically important it is to do that. Most of the times when leaders are at the point where they're about to burn out or they just can't take it anymore, that piece, that guy that comments just mentioned, is missing. They are not leading themselves. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not leading their own lives, but they're leading everybody else. And then everything comes crashing down at some point in time. So a guy that comments also mentioned that patient pays money. It does. It really does pays. It's a good idea to play the patience game. And it's not only in situations where you're frustrated, somebody's frustrated in front of you and they're in your face frustrated, but it also plays in your career too. And it also plays when you're trying to enhance your executive presence as well. Because one of the things I talked about, I believe it was yesterday during our live, if you didn't watch it, definitely check it out. We talked a little bit about leadership, of course, and specifically how you have to observe. You really have to observe. It's office politics. So that's the live we talked about it. And in office politics, or even with your career, or just knowing what's going on in the room, being patient pays. Sometimes you have to be quiet. Sometimes you need to speak up, but you have to be able to discern and know the difference between the two, because sometimes it's hard to really figure that out. Sometimes you don't know when you need to say something. Sometimes you're not sure if you should speak up. Majority of the time, you probably need to say something, but just be very, very strategic about what you're doing and be patient. Sometimes when you're trying to gain information and you're trying to be at that executive level, you're not quite sure who are the decision makers. You may not know what conversations people are having. You may not know that this person is completely stabbing you in the back. You have no idea, but you have to listen. If you listen and you're patient, the information will come. Now, this is insider things that I share with my executives that I work with, my leaders that I work with, but you have to be patient. The information will come. Everything you need to know will come if you're patient and you observe. This is probably the top two of all leadership skills I would mention to you, is being patient and observing. Observing will help you out tremendously. You will be able to learn how to read a room. And this is something I have on my LinkedIn profile, and I've received a lot of compliments about it, because people want to know, how do you start reading people? You have to pay attention, you have to observe, and you have to be patient, because sometimes one person may act one way on a specific day, they may act another way on another day, and you're trying to figure out, well, is this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde? Like, who am I talking to today? You have to be patient, and you have to figure out what's going on with this person. See who it is consistently that you're going to be dealing with, so that when you're having those conversations with them as a leader, then you know who you need to be talking to. Are you talking to Dr. Jekyll, or are you talking to Mr. Hyde? Hopefully, you're talking to the right person that you need to talk to. Okay, so guy that comments mentioned kiss up. Well, I don't believe in that. I'll tell you that right now. Kissing up is like, no, I do not believe in that at all. I believe in just being your authentic self. Some people do it. I'm not saying that that's what you're saying, but it's a good comment to mention, because some people think in order to go up in the leadership realm, that they do have to kiss up, so to speak, or just be over complimentary of someone. I don't do that. I definitely don't do that. That's not being real, and that's not being your authentic self. Just be yourself. You don't have to give someone a compliment every 5 seconds that you see them. That's not the way to establish your executive presence. It's actually a great way to destroy your executive presence, because people are going to think you're just a pushover. Like, you're just going to say, oh, you look nice, or oh, that was a great idea, or oh, thank you so much for that insight. It doesn't help you. As I mentioned in a lot of my videos, being silent is power. Silence is power. Sometimes you need to stay silent, and sometimes you need to say something. But definitely, if you're in the realm of you feel like you have to kind of kiss up to people, it will only get you but so far. And then at some point in time, and I'm telling you this from experience, not from me personally, because it's not something I do, but I've seen people do it all the time. Even in congressional settings, I've seen people do it. I've seen people do it as C-suites. I've seen people do it as VPs. It comes to a point in time where you just get tired of it, and you don't want to put yourself in a situation, because then what happens is that consistency that you've been displaying, that you're just constantly sucking up with somebody, or sucking up and just being nice just to be nice because you want to get ahead, it will catch up with you, and it'll catch up with you in a very, very, very bad way. Typically, all the situations where I've seen that happen, they have all ended dramatically bad. They have been bad. People have had their feelings hurt. People have gotten fired. All kinds of messy stuff has happened. So you definitely want to not be in that type of situation where you're kissing up. Now, if that's something you choose to do, then that's your choice. But I'm sharing with you, in my very humble opinion, that this is, kissing up is not something I talk about, but it's something that you want to try your best not to do. All right, so Guided Comments also mentioned, I read the room, then leave if the room doesn't support me. Yes, you have to, that is a really good point, Guided Comments. You always bring good insight, so thank you so much for sharing that. So that is a good point. You do need to observe. I cannot overstress how much observing will get you ahead in your career. If there's anything you learn from me, is observe. This is the most powerful way to communicate. Now, I know you may be thinking how you speak, how you talk, your tone of voice, your inflection, your deflection, all of those matter, but how you observe is even more so important than how you are actually speaking. Observing gives you information to make a decision in terms of how you speak. So if you don't observe, then you're not going to know how you want to speak. So if you are reading the room and then you leave if the room doesn't support you, that is good for you, because there comes a point in time that when you're a leader, because I know you're a leader, we've kind of communicated before, that if you are wasting your time, then you need to not waste your time, right? If you find that people are not supporting you, then what's the point of being there? You have other things, you have other projects, you have other scenarios and topics and projects and coworkers and all those other things that you're dealing with. So if you find those situations happen, then yes, you can leave. Now, I've talked about this, and I don't know if I've shared it while you've been on here, but for me personally, and I know we're going into more of leadership, more executive leadership, more executive presence, but when I was in situations where I had a conversation and there's a discussion happening in the room, I needed to be present, and where I felt like people were not being supportive, or if I felt like the conversation was just completely ridiculous, or it was very contentious, or something that just didn't make sense and it was wasting my time, like I had other things to do, I leave. So Guided Comments, I've done that. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. I will leave. I will actually leave, and I'll step out. I'll go use the restroom, or I'll go do something else. I take a break because the conversation is just wasting my time. And so as you are elevating as leaders, regardless of what leadership role are you in, if you're a woman in leadership, you're a man in leadership, as you start to elevate as a leader, you start to value your time a lot more, because you know you bring a certain level of expertise to your group and your team. And if they're talking about things that are nonsense, it's not making sense, and it is something that is not being of value to you and completely wasting your time, find your scapegoat. there's an emergency, you have to go. I mean, there's other things that you can be doing than wasting your time. And a lot of people, when you're in those leadership roles, especially in your C-suites and your VPs and your senior leadership roles, we have meetings after meetings after meetings after meetings after meetings. And a lot of times people just start to go on tangents. They start to talk about random silly stuff. And they start to talk about their personal life and what they did over the weekend. And it just gets messy. It gets messy. And typically I would excuse myself and say, I have another meeting I have to go to, or I have a project I need to work on. I hope y'all have a great day. Are we finished? And then I will, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we're done, we're just talking. Then you just leave. So that is very good. And you can only do that by reading the room. So guy that comments, that's a fantastic insight. You do have to read the room. And if the room is not supporting you, then you have to just take a break or leave. Now, depending on the setting, of course, when you're in it, if you are in that leadership role or you're in an executive role, you may have to take a break or just come back in a few minutes. But you have to set it up in such a way to where it doesn't look like you're being, I would say, cowardly, where you're just like leaving whenever there's hot, contentious conversations happening. There's always a very nice balance that you can achieve when you're doing that. Now, I will say, if any of this information I've shared with you sounds like something that you want to learn more about or want to dive more into, maybe you're in those high stakes situations that we've talked about or high pressure situations, and you're dealing with a lot as a leader and you're trying to figure out, well, how do I navigate these office politics or these dynamics and etc., then reach out to me for an executive strategy session. I would be happy to support you, have a conversation, and let's see where you are. Let's see where you're at right now, and let's see where you need to be. And I guarantee you, by the time we finish our executive strategy session, I will help you develop a game plan that will work well for you so that you can move forward in your career. Now, are there any other questions that you all have as it relates to anything leadership related? We've got some really great information. Appreciate everyone. Appreciate the dialogue, especially guy that comments. Thank you so much for your insights as always. Anybody else, anyone have any questions specifically as it relates to being in the leadership world? There's a lot of things that we deal with. There's a lot of questions I receive as it relates to patience and etc. So I just want to know from you all if you have anything. If not, you're welcome to put it in the comments below. If you're watching the replay, I'll be sure to answer them for you as soon as I get a chance to do so. I do want to mention that I did have a poll on several platforms, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and here on my YouTube channel. There was a couple topics that came up that I'm working on developing content for, and I want to know from you, which topic do you want to learn more about? So if you haven't voted on the poll yet, let me know. I'll do a live, especially for you. Typically on Friday evenings is when I have more time where I can kind of go more into lives. I know we've been live for a while now, about half hour, which is probably one of my longer ones. But I will spend more time on those topics when I'm probably on a Friday. I will let you know that right now the winning topic that I have seen so far that people are wanting to know more about is clarity and being able to know the big vision, like where they're going as leaders. The next topic that's coming in terms of the votes is hard conversations. So hard conversations is something that I'm incredibly passionate about. I've dealt with so many of them. I've done so many of them that I'd be happy to help anyone talk about hard conversations. And if you've had one or planning to have one, as long as it's not sensitive information, I'd be happy to just guide you or talk to you about it as it relates to your specific situation during the live. So just stay tuned on the channel. I appreciate you all being here with me. I typically do my lives now that everything's stable back in my life, that I'm back live in terms of the actual schedule I have. I typically try to do it once a day during the week, at least Monday through Friday. If something happens and I'm not able to go live, then, something tragic happened and I couldn't make it. But for the most part, Monday through Friday, I try to do lives. I try to upload shorts. And we've done so many lives together, which is why YouTube has actually reached out to me to be a member of the YouTube live streamer research panel, because I've done so many lives, because you all have been so present and so engaging. So I'll be able to give the platform some insight in terms of things they can do to help improve the live streaming experience. So I appreciate you all for supporting me on that and really being a part of it. We're at 350 subscribers, so I appreciate you all for being present and subscribing to the channel. It's always great to be able to support you all, especially I know when I was developing myself as a leader, I didn't really have a good support initially. I didn't really actually gain some insight in terms of leadership until after I was actually in dental school. And so I want to make sure I'm actually being able to provide you all with some real life scenarios, real strategies, real things that actually can work as a leader so that you're not just in the dark, because I know I felt like I was in the dark. I didn't know how to have difficult conversations. I didn't know the right way to still lead, but lead in a very compassionate, in a very balanced way. I was the opposite side of it. I was definitely not as balanced and polished as I am now, but this is what experience teaches you. You learn how to manage different scenarios, manage different situations, and every time you do it, you elevate as a leader. And so I'm sharing with you all the absolutely most highest level version of myself and giving it to you, because I know that y'all have questions. I know things come up and you're just not sure, like, what should I do? What should I do? So I'm here to really support you all on your journey. Well, thank you so much. Actually, I'm not going anywhere. Got that comment. So I'm here long term for sure. And this is just the beginning really of my channel. I do plan on doing a lot more over the next couple of months. You will definitely see some major changes happening probably within the next, I'd say, 2 to 3 months. More than likely on my channel, there's a lot of different content that I've done before that I'm going to actually bring back, because I found that not only in addition to teaching you about ways you can be patient, ways you can show and communicate patience, I'm actually going to point out from different leaders and different people that are speaking how they communicate and what are some things that you can take from how they communicate in terms of techniques, and what are some techniques that you probably don't want to take from people. So an example of this on my channel right now that I did last year was the only presidential debate they had. There's a couple things that I pulled out from both of the candidates that they did that were really good in terms of being able to speak and be able to communicate in front of your peers when you're communicating as a leader. And then I also pointed out things that are maybe not the best thing to do when you are trying to communicate that can actually take away from your message. All of these things I'm sharing with you is heavily focused on communication and communicating at that higher level. So I did get a lot of views on those type of videos and those shorts. So I feel like a lot of times people just don't know exactly what they do. They don't know how to say it. They don't know what to say it. They want to be that very polished person that communicates at that higher level, but they just don't know like how to go about doing it. And when I show you in videos, if you look at other leaders that are speaking, and if you have a leader specifically that you want me to look at first in terms of how they're communicating, I promise you I'll do it. So just let me know in the comments below. I will take a look at how they communicate. I'll watch them in different ways, and I'll pull out some things that are really good that they do, and I'll pull out some things that you might want to try to avoid doing, just depending on who it is. If they're just phenomenal and that's just how they speak, then I'll point that out too. There's always strategies and techniques that you can use from someone else to help you elevate yourself in your career. And this is something that I personally did not really truly grasp until I started my own business. Now, many of you know that I'm a Toastmaster. I've been in Toastmasters for a long time. I became a distinguished Toastmaster, which they have about 358,000 members in the world, and only 1% of them do the distinguished Toastmaster. So that means I've done a lot of speeches. I've done a lot of leadership activities and a lot of leadership roles to get to that 1%. And one of the things I noticed in Toastmasters, which I absolutely love Toastmasters dearly. It is a fantastic, phenomenal program if you're really trying to become that next level communicator and speaker. But what I noticed is that there's certain things, there's certain strategies or certain techniques that they don't talk about that actually happen in the real world that can really help you to stand out sometimes, depending on who you're talking to, who you're communicating with, and etc. So if you're wanting to maybe get into a more of a detailed dive in terms of how to use your body language to be able to communicate an effective message, and when you're having those big leadership meetings, if you're in a high stakes meeting, or if you're in a boardroom, or you're planning a meeting with your senior leadership, then definitely check out several videos I have. I have some videos about body language, actual videos about body language. And then the presidential debate tips, that's a good video to start, regardless of what political party you are affiliated with. I could care less about that. The point is, I'm going to show you what people are doing that are communicating sometimes at a higher level that you can either use or not use, or make sure you avoid doing, so that you don't come across looking at somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. So that's a good place to start if you're really interested in really that deep dive into how to communicate. If you're wanting to take it a step even further, I have an executive communication masterclass that is on my website under products and services. I believe it's something that, I don't know if I have it in the description or not, but it's a masterclass I hosted for an hour that specifically talks about other aspects in terms of how you can communicate at a higher level. It's a great masterclass to watch. And of course, if you're wanting to get some really serious, and you're very serious about that high level communication, you know you want to do more in your life and your career, but you know you need to tighten this up or elevate it, then just reach out to me for a strategy session. I'll be happy to support you on your journey and get you to where you need to be as a leader. And then of course, the most basic thing you can do is subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel and take a look at the content. There's a lot more lives on here than my videos, so spend time on my lives. Take a look at them, learn as much as you can. This is a free resource that I offer to my audience. Of course, if you want to work with me and get that more customized support, then reach out to me for an executive strategy session, or join me and some of the other ladies I've worked with in the transformative program called The Real Executive Woman. All right, so I wanted to check and see. So we have Pro BTC. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here today. Okay, you're talking about Bitcoin and all that. Yes, so let's see. They're talking about Bitcoin a little bit. Okay, learning to trade now, easy gains. Yeah, so of course, I mean, cryptocurrency is something that I don't necessarily talk about specifically on my channel. However, I do have excuse me, some experience with it, and it's definitely people are investing in it, and this is just the age. This is just the day and age that we are in right now. I mean, people are investing in cryptocurrency. There's all kinds of things they have out there now. There's a blockchain for this, blockchain for that. There's just a lot. There's a lot to invest in. So if that's something you want to learn more about, or if you have some specific insights, then I would say just learn as much as you can and do what you can to try to gain some additional income. I mean, that's something that is very important. You should absolutely diversify your income. And one of the actual videos, I was this close to doing it tonight, but I did not do it tonight, was to talk about when people are at that higher level of leadership, what's that next level? Like, what do they do? When they've been a C-suite, they've been an executive, they've been a VP, well, what happens next? And oftentimes people don't really talk about this, but a lot of times they'll end up going into entrepreneurship like myself, or they'll go into consulting like myself, or they'll do something like that. But another part of that is being able to diversify your income. So a lot of times people don't do this. They get a job. And I know after this, I'll probably have to get off here because, believe it or not, my battery is about to die on my phone because I've been on live for so long, but I'm happy about that. But a lot of times they'll work at one job, or they'll just be at one job. And in that one job, they just stay there. And that's the only income that they have. And they don't diversify. They don't go into crypto like we're talking about now. They may not go into other retirement savings account. They may not do real estate. They may not have their own side business. And so this is the fastest way to just cripple yourself as a leader, is by just believing that you only need one job. I know people go to school and think that you have to have just one job. No, this is a totally different day and age. That's something that our parents used to do. That's something I would definitely not encourage. You definitely need to have multiple streams of income, because at any point in time, something could happen to one and it falls and it doesn't work as well as you like for it to. Something could happen to your main job as a leader. You may disagree with somebody and find yourself resigning from a job. I've done that before personally. I have personally resigned from jobs when I completely disagreed with someone, when I felt like they were not going in the right direction, and I just completely was like, I can't do it anymore. So you may have situations like that. So I encourage all of you to really place yourself in a situation where you are diversifying your income, you are looking at other streams of income. If you're not sure what to do, sign up for an executive strategy session. We will dive into you and what you can specifically do to help you be able to diversify your income. So this is something very, very helpful, and I appreciate you for bringing that up, Pro BTC, because it's good. I mean, we all need to talk about how can we balance life out so we can live that life that we want to be at. I'm helping you communicate at that higher level, but I want to make sure that I'm helping you in other ways also as a leader, things that I wish I would have known. So BTC said, I was on YouTube and seeing you were live, but wow, you speak well. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You're very mature and are able to keep up. That's amazing. I'm glad for you. Well, thank you, bro, BTC. I hope you subscribe to the channel. I talk about a lot of things related to communication and leadership. If this is something that resonates with you and you've enjoyed it, this is a great time to subscribe. I have a lot of great content here. I spend more time on live. And as I mentioned earlier, if you didn't hear, so I've been doing so many lives here on YouTube that YouTube has noticed I've done a lot of lives. So I'm on the YouTube live streamer research panel. They reached out to me, so I'm a member of that. And I'll be providing them with insights in terms of how to improve the live streaming experience. So just being here, being present is always really important. And I appreciate your very, very nice comment, and definitely appreciate your insights that you shared about being able to talk about Bitcoin, crypto, blockchains, and all those things. I think there's a good dialogue, even though that's not what we were talking about initially. But this is all about leadership. I want to make sure the people that I'm communicating with are leading not only in their groups or teams, but leading their life too, like Guy that mentioned earlier. Before Pro BTC joined, he talked about leading your life, and a part of leading your life is taking care of yourself, and taking care of yourself is diversifying your income. Please, for the love of the Lord, do not put yourself in a situation where you only have one income. You are the leader of a job or you're leader of your company, and that's only the income you have. Please don't do that. That is the fastest way for you to miss out on amazing things. So diversify your income. Very important. I appreciate this dialogue. It was amazing. And Pro BTC, I hope you join. I'll check out your channel too and see what other things you talk about as it relates to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and etc. See how I can learn. So I appreciate you all for being here today and for just being present. I know this is this might be my second longest live, and I appreciate you all for being here and being supportive. If you have any questions, anything whatsoever, put them in the comments below. I will absolutely respond to your question. And if you want to reach out for an executive strategy session, just find me, Instagram, LinkedIn, I'm there. Reach out to me. We'll get something set up so you can elevate yourselves as leaders. And I appreciate you all for being here, being supportive, and I'm here to help you. So let me know in the comments below. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to learn about? How do you want to communicate at a higher level? I will absolutely give you over 20 years of experience in a short amount of time that will automatically fast track you and make you stand out from everybody else and communicate at a higher level than your peers. So I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about clarity and getting that big picture in place as a leader, because that's the first topic that people are voting on my poll. So if you haven't voted yet, please make sure you vote. It's on YouTube. There's a poll on my community page, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube and LinkedIn. Instagram, it was a stories. But vote. Let me know what you want to talk about, and then I'll dive deeper into it on probably a Friday afternoon. All right, so let's see. Pro BTC said, please check him out if you have time. Chat is welcome to you as well. Thank you. I appreciate that, Pro BTC. So yes, absolutely. We'll definitely. No, it's a great no. Pro BTC says, sorry for not staying on topic. No, absolutely, though. This is a perfect topic. I appreciate you for being here and even mentioning the topic, because this is something that is very, 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 very important. People need to really diversify their income. So I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I appreciate you all so much, and I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you all tomorrow evening. Bye for now.